Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm your host, Joe Slepsky, and this is the show where we watch every episode of G.I. Joe in sequential order, and we comment on it MSG3K style. And with me this week for one of the easily top 10 episodes of the entire run of the show, and definitely probably one of the top 2 or 3 episodes of the second season. For the episode called Raise the Flag, I am joined by a friend and fan of the show, Mr. Adam Miller. Adam, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked. Man,
I'm really happy to have you. You're calling in from the North Shore in Massachusetts, just north of Boston?
About 25 minutes, depending on how miserable the traffic is from Boston, yeah.
Is North Shore, is that a slang for the town, or is that the actual name of the town?
No, so it's really Boston's in the center, and then there's a coastal area above the city, North Shore, and a coastal area below the city, and it just encompasses a small group of towns each side.
Awesome. And you're born and raised there?
I am born and raised in another town called Drake, which borders a city called Lowell, which is, a pretty typical middle America sort of spot, and that's about 45 minutes outside of Boston.
So all Massachusetts style?
Yeah, as far as my formative years, and then, gypsy travel otherwise.
Gypsy travel is good. So, but the burning question that all Joe and Joe listeners want to know, were you just a massive fan of Cutter?
I will tell you that Cutter certainly has a soft spot in every young Boston boy's heart that grew up with G.I. Joe.
And then when the episode, The Viper is Coming, aired, were you like, that's just up the street from me?
I will tell you, the biggest thing about Cutter, clearly this isn't any revelation, but the biggest thing about Cutter that resonated, of course, was the hat.
Of course.
Because, that hat is, it's part of the uniform if you live in the area.
I've always wondered, did Hasbro get licensing rights for that?
Oh, man, I wonder if the B is just different enough to where they could slip it in. MLB doesn't own the letter B, so I wonder if there was enough leeway there where they could slip it in, but who knows?
They would like to own it, though.
I'm sure they
would like to own it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they're currently pursuing that legal action right now. Maybe this podcast will bring it to their attention, and they'll file like a retroactive copyright lawsuit. And we're gonna bring this podcast is bringing G.I. Joe financially to its knees by getting into a protracted civil lawsuit with the MLB over the Boston hat.
They'll storm our respective bases with torches.
Well, don't blame me. Well, I'm really happy to have you, Adam, because one, you're a big G.I. Joe fan. You shared some photos with me from like various Halloween events where you and your friends dressed, cosplayed as a bunch of G.I. Joe guys. And the reason why that's exciting is because you're a professional artist. You like to call yourself a professional art guy. So these costumes, and you and your friends made amazing costumes.
Yeah, so the way I tell people when they ask, because I'm sort of, I'm in the pop culture world, I guess, and when anyone asks my opinion on cosplay, I tell them that I love it. I just love it once a year, So really, it used to be called dressing up for Halloween, but now it's called cosplay. Yeah,
I agree.
You agree?
I kind of agree.
Again, hey,
no offense to any friends who cosplay, any listeners who cosplay. I'm cosplayed out. I miss my comic conventions.
It's one love. There's room for everybody. I get it.
Totally.
This isn't, do your thing and all that. But yeah, sometimes it's a little tough. But anyway, so yeah, we had this pretty epic annual, that was redundant. This pretty epic Halloween party. Ran for about a decade or so. And it got as big as 3 floors with, we would do music and DJs, and we actually
So you weren't children. You were adults.
Oh, grown ass, grown ass men and women dressed like superheroes. So yeah, one year we did, our big theme was G.I. Joe. So yeah, we absolutely went for it. And as I always tell people, is the attention to detail is almost a little comical because we go a little too far.
Yeah.
Everyone's all visual, and most of my buddies and friends went to art school. So every little detail counts when you're putting a costume together, and we had fun with it.
That's so great. So where did you go to art school?
I went to a private art school in the area close to me called Montserrat College of Art.
Oh, fantastic. And what was your specific study that you focused on?
Yeah, I majored in illustration. I initially started as a photo major and then switched really late in the game to illustration, and I graduated with a BFA in illustration.
And you've worked in comic books. You you worked on a book called Zombie.
Yeah, Zombie Bomb.
Zombie Bomb.
Yeah, so that was it lasted for about 2 years or so. The way I like to tell people is it was a thing, maybe not the thing, you know. So I've done lots of things. I've yet to do the thing.
Okay.
But no, it was good. We had some traction. It ran for about 2 years. You know, it built a big boy resume for me and let me gain a lot of stories and fun experiences and kind of put us on the map a little bit. And locally, it did really well. And we got to travel and meet folks. And that was my foot in the door there.
Well, New England's got a great history of comic book tradition. You know, the Tick comes out of New England, you know, New England comics and stuff. And they were one of the early mail order comic book distributors back in the day. That when I was a kid, I used to get the New England comics catalog. And that's where I ordered all my stuff, all my pre-internet, pre-eBay, all that stuff. I would go through the New England comics catalog and order back issues through them. So I love New England comic tradition.
Well, you know the Turtles too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they come out of here, and so there's New England is good for. I mean, when I have buddies visit from out of town, even other comic book artists, other artists, when I show them how many comic book shops, like good, reputable, decent comic shops I can get to in a day. And, you know, I'm fairly friendly with the owners, having been around the world, around the comic world, I should say, a little. But we can get to almost double-digit comic shops in a day.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. So, so tell me a little about your work on Zombie Bomb. Did you do the art? Were you did you write it? Edit it? What was your role on that?
Give you the abbreviated version. Basically, I was attending conventions. I was invited to attend San Diego Comic-Con with a company called Epic Props, and they do like T-shirts and buttons and kind of merchy sort of stuff. While at that event, I was introduced to the owner of a company called Terminal Press. I showed them my work. They dug it, and then I just kept in touch, followed up. An opportunity arose, very short notice opportunity arose for me to do a pinup for them for the back of an existing title. After that went well, they invited me to attend Philadelphia Comic-Con. That went well, and at the end of the convention, I pitched them this kind of ambitious idea about doing an expansive zombie anthology with fine artists, commercial artists, comic book artists. And at the time, it was sort of before the complete deluge of zombie insanity.
What year were we talking about with Zombie Bomb?
5 years ago now.
Okay, yeah.
So the TV show, Walking Dead TV show, had yet to really do its thing, but the book was thriving. And so even at that point, when I pitched it, I pitched the idea of zombies to them because I thought it fit their kind of their demographic, you know, what they were catering to. And really, I thought maybe even then we had pitched it a little late. It turned out that we pitched it right as the curve was starting to really take off. So, it lasted about 2 years. And basically, I was the creative director for it. I was the co-creator, and I did the covers for the series along with another artist named Rich Woodall, who was also the co-creator. That led to more opportunities. That book ended up becoming their largest selling title. And then eventually, they asked me to be creative director for the company.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, man, it was a good time, and it was a good example of a good reminder to myself and other freelance artists looking for opportunities that when you see a crack in the door, it's really important to just kick it down and take advantage of it. So it went from really filling it.
It's really good advice. And to bring it back to something that our friend Barry Battles was talking about a few months back, when you kick that door in, be ready to show your goods, you know?
For sure, man. That's a good point.
Yep. So in that downtime, when you're looking for those cracks, keep working, keep plugging away, keep improving your art, whether it's drawing or writing or whatever it is, keep plugging away. Then you see that crack, like you said, and kick it open and get in there.
Yeah. And the thing the real marketable asset or tangible asset that you gain that has real world application after that experience isn't that I can draw a cool zombie. It's that I can work with a large, diverse group of people and make deadlines and hit budgets.
Yes.
And, you know, some people...
You're a reliable professional.
Some people need a pat on the back. Some people need a kick in the butt. And if you're in a leadership position, it's important to know the difference and how to get the most out of people to achieve that, like, common goal, not to get too, like, you know, corporate speaky on you.
Love it.
You know, but when I once in a while, they'll ask me to speak at an art school or whatever. And you know, that little nugget of that Zombie Bomb story is, you know, it started as basically filling in for someone who flaked on an opportunity with one image. And then you fast forward to the end of it, and I was essentially deciding on content for the entire publisher. So it just jumped man. Jump on it.
That's amazing, man. So, it's a quick follow up on that. Is there any place that any of our listeners wanted to check out Zombie Bombs, or is it on Amazon still, or is it digital anywhere?
Have come and gone, to be honest with you. If you're feeling nostalgic for the Zombie Bomb days, you can go on YouTube and we have a Stacia channel that's still up. It's called Zombie Bomb TV.
Okay.
I think it's almost. I mean, it was we had like a good little following there. It's up to probably like 500,000 views or something, but which isn't a lot for like a dancing cat, but it's a fair amount for just a regular dude making comics.
But it doesn't have half the charm of a dancing cat. Let's be honest. I mean, it's still no. Well, what's great though, it is one of the wonderful things about stuff like YouTube and everything. Yeah, not everything, and even this podcast, not everything is gonna drive a million clicks. Not everything's gonna get a million ears and make a ton of money for everybody. But it's a footprint. It's Zombie Bomb was here, and years down the road, hey, check it out. It's something that existed, and you can enjoy it.
Exactly. The connections you make during that experience, you can take with you. I mean, the stuff I do now is more often than not still has roots with the team or the people that I, met through that experience.
Yeah.
So,
and what are you doing these days?
Yeah. So there's, I just wrapped up a series of covers for a book called States of Terror that deals with basically each state has a boogeyman. Each state has a bit of folklore or urban legend. And so we highlight each state's monster. And so I was the art director on that, and I did the covers. It was a 3-volume set, and I did all the covers for that.
Is that a novel or comic book?
It's like a pulp mix of prose and illustration.
Fantastic.
So it reads more like a traditional storybook in some cases. So the writers are largely West Coast based, and the artists are largely East Coast based. The publisher is called Ayahuasca Publishing, and that is available on Amazon. We just wrapped the final installment.
Great. So what's the name of the book they should look for? Is
States of Terror.
States of Terror. That's fantastic. And as long as you're on the internet, you can find Adam Miller's beautiful artwork on Instagram. Go to Millerstrations, and you can find him. That's kind of your social media tag. Very smart to brand everything across the board.
Trying.
Yeah. And when you're on there, you can check me out at Joe on Joe Pod. That's Instagram and Facebook and Twitter for me. Send me an email, just like Adam did, to joeandjoepod@gmail.com, and let me know what you think of the show. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. We have a major announcement about the show that I'm gonna tease right now. I'm gonna make it before we jump into the episode, but I want to circle back, Adam, and talk G.I. Joe with you. When did you discover it? What did it mean to you? How old were you? Tell me all that stuff.
Yeah, man, for sure. So I think we had touched on earlier, that nostalgia, I call nostalgia an important friend, and I actually, I tried to give you props for fostering that because it's really important. So, and when you get older and you see some of the decisions you make, and it harkens back to those days of nostalgia in cartoons, So I think when I was a little dude, it was cartoons, man. It's Saturday morning cartoons, after school cartoons. And the thing about the Joes specifically was that, when we were kids, my parents, we were on some pretty lean times, and I remember that the Joes were the most affordable of the toy store toys. Mm-hmm. So for $2.50, $3, $3.50, you could walk in and get yourself a G.I. Joe toy. So I think that was part of it. I felt like it was attainable for me and my little brother that we could get our hands on a G.I. Joe guy. And yeah, that's how it started, was the figures and the cartoons. I must have been 10 years old, maybe.
Awesome. I've said a lot on the show, that 10-year-old frame, that's whatever you're into then, that really burns a hole into your brain. I've seen it across the board for almost everyone I've talked to. There's something about that era of development for people that just locks in,
It does. When I was even at that point, I was kind of a comic book kid. And the fact that, to me, the G.I. Joe characters were as much superheroes as soldiers. Right. So that really appealed to me. Yeah. The code names and the costumes and the file cards, it was the best.
And everyone, their file card specialty, that was their superpower.
The file card was so key. The file card was a game changer for it resonating with a young audience, I feel like.
It really was, because it takes the toy and it brings it into the real world, because now that's something you carry with you, or you read it in bed. You're not playing with the toy, but you're flipping through them and you're reading and you're studying them. And it's like you're studying your schoolwork, or you're learning more about this guy. And they're not dictating the play for you, but they're saying, hey, just so you know, Scarlett's from Atlanta, so she's a bit of a Southern belle. So maybe the next time you play, you're like, well, I'm going to flavor her, So we were all playing with Scarlett as a Southern belle.
Sure.
You weren't playing with Scarlett as from Boston, and in my world, Scarlett wasn't from Chicago.
Right.
Like.
And if you were engaged in an inquisitive little person, as I think I probably was, it begged questions. What's an E6? What's an E5?
Yeah.
Who has rank? What's this special weapons expert? Something. Where is this part of the country?
Why was I not allowed to step on any part of the Sky Striker? Why is there a no step sticker on every? It's a piece of metal. I want to know why can't I put my feet on it? Why are there so many no step stickers on a Sky Striker?
The term depth charger is absolutely carved into my consciousness. Like at a very young age, I was, what is a depth charger?
Yeah. Larry Hama taught me the word enfilade. I'm like, I'm going to sneak up on people with a couple friends and we're going to make an enfilade. It's so right. It's so true. Well, I'm excited today. We're going to be watching Raise the Flag. Did you remember this episode?
I did, and I am a huge Zartan fan. He's probably my all-time favorite Joe character. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I lucked out and got a Zartan-centric episode, I was over the moon about it. So yeah, I remembered the episode, and specifically, I remembered that weird mess hall cook.
Okay, I listen. I'm just gonna say I have to put this out there. This goes out to my boy Alex. I work with. We know a guy that looks just like that.
Fantastic.
And I showed it to him, and he said, "I don't know if I can say this on the net." That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna go into any more further description of that. But I said I gotta call. I have to bring it. I know someone who looks exactly like B.A. Lacour.
And then it's like a deep cut in joke. Like no one's ever gonna get that.
No one's ever gonna get that reference. But I'm watching this, going, "Oh my god, he looks just like blank beep, whatever you want to say." Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah. So I do. I love it. I love it because it's got continuity. It's got actually multiple points of continuity, as we'll get into. It's got great characterization, and this is a great episode. This is absolutely a wonderful episode. But before we jump in, Adam Miller, I would like to make an announcement about the future of this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me many, many times, I more than I can count, say how much I'm not a huge fan of the DIC episodes, and how when we run out of these episodes, which we're coming very close, we're under 10 episodes left, we're going to do the movie and then maybe a couple specials here and there. But then I was like, I don't know where to take the show next. Well, I have made the choice. I've made the decision, and now I'm putting it out publicly, so I'm committed to it. I am going to do the DIC episodes. I'm going to continue on with the show, with all the DIC episodes. So that's about another year's worth of pod for us.
Yay!
Thank you. And the reason why, I'll tell you the reason why, Adam. You're one of the reasons. There's a couple other people have reached out over email, and it's literally from fans, people out there listening. A fan named Paul Sidaway reached out. Thank you, Paul, for your lovely email saying, you know what, I like parts of the DIC series. And I like what you do on the show. I'd like to hear your comments on those episodes. It's a combination of that, and I was thinking about it, and you know what? No one else is going to do it.
You're the champion of the DIC, which is great because you don't like it.
Yeah.
So I love that it's like this thing you have to burden for us, because I sheepishly, guiltily confessed to you that I secretly, not so secretly, love the DIC episodes, and yeah. I just remember thinking, oh man, I'm being judged.
No judgment either way. It's just, it's all personal taste and stuff. But yeah, no one else is gonna do it. Like, I don't want to hang a martyr on me, but
no, do it.
I know I really don't. But like, I've come this far, and I've done all these, and it's the next obvious answer, and there's really no reason for me not to. And frankly, I've still got a bunch of people in my life and friends and stuff who I want to get on the show, and I'm like, I keep running into old friends, and I'm like, I need to get you on. I want to be on, and then we never put it together, and I'm out of episodes. So yeah, we're gonna continue with the DIC, ladies and gentlemen. So Joe and Joe will continue going forward. Mazel tov. So with that much ado out of the way, Adam, are you ready to watch Raise the Flag?
I'm so ready. Let's do it.
Awesome, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening again, and here we go.
Yo, Joe!
So there's the titular Flagg, always opening the second season, Adam.
Love it.
It's funny, like you almost forget that they actually did sink the Flagg in a few like whatever 10 episodes back, and it was computer complications, I think, was the episode.
Fighting for freedom over land and air.
Which is weird because they were also trying to sell the toys at the time, and they destroyed it on the show.
Yeah, I love the. I do love this opening. I remember thinking it was pretty rad to see all those new characters.
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so. Now, any of these did you have any of these guys, or what? Like, 'cause I think you're a couple years younger than me.
Yeah, no, and this is my wheelhouse. I also think I missed sort of some of the first wave for whatever reason. I had the bulk of stuff I had was from 85, 86, 87.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
So these guys are really kind of like my jokes. Like I grew into and flashback to the originals, obviously. But these toys, these figures, this is like what I resonate with most.
Perfect. Well, we got Raise the Flag written by David Caron. And we open with a bunch of killer whales searching the ocean. We've got Hawk, Leatherneck, Wetsuit. Of course, another example of Wetsuit and Leatherneck going at each other. Just fantastic.
Nobody wants to watch you go 2 falls.
I love that Wetsuit is like a highly trained, like ninja Kumote battle fighter guy. They did an episode where they called all those fighters from all over the world together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like some super.
Really, yeah. We haven't done that episode yet, right?
Yeah, so it's like that's probably towards the very end, right?
Oh, is that Ninja Holiday?
Yeah,
I think that's actually next week.
He's selected as like one of the biggest badasses on Earth.
Oh God, you're right.
And I was like, oh man, and he's like, his look is a little contrary to that, but he's a SEAL, so he's got to be a badass,
very
right?
Contrary. He looks like William Catt from Greatest American Hero.
But then he's a SEAL, so you're like, all right, he can do
right?
anything.
Yeah. Listen, you walk in the door and you say you're a SEAL. I'm not gonna mess with you. Like you're a bad dude. Yeah.
He can like breathe through his eyes and stuff.
He's totally breathes through his eyes. So the Joe's found it's an oil platform like out in the middle of the ocean, but it's disguised. It's really a Cobra plant. They don't exactly know what they're up to.
Right.
But we're getting some great like group fights and fist fights going on.
Like right out the gate too.
Yeah, Zartan and his siblings are the ones that are protecting this. Now, using Zartan for the show, as we're going to find out later once once we find the Flagg and stuff, is actually a really stroke of genius, and I'm wondering if there's a reason they did that. When we'll get into that a little later.
Sure. I think I know where you're going with it.
Yeah.
I also like that Zartan at first sort of puts his foot down and is like, "You guys are cowards, stay." And then like literally 3 seconds later, I'm out.
Yeah, wow.
Like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, he's still a mercenary at the end of the day.
He's such a mercenary. Yeah. It's so great.
Zartan is what's his name? Bronn from Game of Thrones, the sellsword.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's a good
he's totally the same guy. So here we go with some explanation. Flashback. This is a flashback to the computer calculations. A computer complications episode where the Cobra ship, like the shield helicarrier thing, crashed into the Flagg and crashed in the ocean. Only question here is the Joes were there for this. They would know what part of the ocean that went down. If they got a call and were like, hey, Cobra's doing a bunch of stuff in this part of the ocean, someone would raise their hand and go, hey, isn't that where our massive aircraft carrier sank a couple weeks ago?
In their defense, I'm sure you've been to the ocean, and it does sort of all look the same.
It's true, it does.
It's hard to find a landmark in the ocean.
That's true, but I feel like Mainframe maybe would have gotten some coordinates. Someone would have taken a note and written down that the Flagg sank at whatever X, whatever Y. Just saying.
It's fair enough. Yeah, it's hard to doubt your claims there.
So this is great. Zartan's put in charge of regaining the antimatter pod, which was powering the Cobra plane.
Which is that great dose of sci-fi right in the middle of it, which is really, to me, that's the magic of G.I. Joe, is where the military meets the sci-fi meets the oddball humor, and then that superhero element. Like that's sort of the alchemy of the awesome, you know?
You're totally right. You're totally right. And you can't have a classic Joe episode without a MacGuffin.
Yes.
There's always a MacGuffin. And listen up.
Where's the trash coming from?
Here's another continuity moment. We have Cold Slither playing in the background.
Which is such a killer, like, fanboy nod. It's like the precursor to all Easter eggs.
Completely.
Like, you have to be in to know this, you know?
Yes, completely. And they even reference it. They say, "Oh, they're playing Cold Slither," and they with no explanation. There's no.
Right.
It's just, "Oh, everyone knows Cold Slither."
And I love they double down on the Dreadnoks, right? Because this is a Dreadnought heavy episode,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "We're giving you more Dreadnought."
Yeah,
on
you
top
remember
of
when
your
the Dreadnoks were a rock and roll band? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
And here's Cold Slither. And listen, again, I will gladly hear Cold Slither any day of the week because it's always in the back of my head.
Sign me up for that.
I love it. So far we've got references to 2 different episodes.
Yeah. And the tech mech sci-fi craziness going from the sort of Energizer alien egg, and then this like tech stingray underwater submarine thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also very cool. Like, it could have just been some ambiguous submarine. No, it's a robotic stingray.
Totally.
Yeah, listen to the man.
Totally right. So here we got Zartan and his siblings. They've cornered Leatherneck and Wetsuit and Roadblock. They've all kind of gone into the combined wreck of the Flagg and the Cobra ship, and we have more Cold Slither playing as an army of bats kind of swarms them. But they're not just bats; they're really broke up bats. And there he is. We got a kooky old man looking Robinson, and here we go. B.A. Lacar.
B.A. Lacar.
Hi, B.A. I know you in real life. That's all I'm going to say.
I wish they would have done, or maybe they will do, a figure of him.
Well, we're going to commercial and be right back. Today's Filecard feature is on the G.I. Joe Renegade, code-named Red Dog. His file name is David Tapu Tapu, and his birthplace is Pago Pago, Samoa. Primary military specialty is the infantry, and he's a E5. The Renegades have no official status. Their movements and activities are virtually unrestricted. They don't get any credit when they succeed, and everybody denies knowing anything about them when they fail. Red Dog could have had a pro football career as a barefoot place kicker if a defensive lineman hadn't ground his cleats into the big Samoan's obtruding toe. The lineman ended up with a broken helmet and a concussion. Red Dog was suspended for excessive roughness. He later worked briefly as a stuntman in B movies until he was recruited by the G.I. Joe Command. Quote, the other Renegades think that Red Dog is a handy gun to have along on missions. If they encounter an obstacle of any kind, barricade, tank trap, phalanx of armed guards, they simply point Red Dog in the appropriate direction, let him go, and wait for the dust to settle. First, we should point out that Red Dog, when they reference the Renegades, they're talking about none other than Sergeant Slaughter's Renegades. Red Dog originally came on a 3-pack with Mercer and Taurus, and they were featured and introduced in the G.I. Joe movie. Red Dog wears a football jersey. Now, I wonder if there's got to be a great scene on the cutting room floor of Red Dog and Bazooka just kind of hanging out going like, football. Yeah, football. He's got a number 1 on his chest. He wears a bandana. I love that he's Samoan. That's fantastic. And he seemingly wears blue jeans. A sweet, non-traditional aspect to his look. He's kind of got a Mr. T thing going on. He's got a chain on his neck, and he's got like gold armbands. So there's a little bit of Mr. T influence I can see maybe the designers were going for. Especially if you look at the Renegades as kind of like an A-Team kind of spin-off of the toy. The A-Team was hugely popular at the time. I'm a fan of Red Dog. I think he's pretty sweet. So Red Dog, David Tapu Tapu, I know I'm mispronouncing that last name. We salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
In my quest to explain to my friend that we know a guy that looks just like this guy from the show, my friend's never seen this episode, I had to find a picture of B.A. Lacar, and the only pictures that were showing up for my Google searches were someone did a custom figure of B.A. Lacar.
No way.
So
asking you shall receive.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do a search for B.A. Lacar, you will find some proud Joe warrior out there did a custom figure of B.A. Lacar.
I love it.
Where did that bloody maniac come from anyway?
I also love that Cold Slither just plays as a background.
It's like the soundtrack for
It
this
is.
episode.
It
It's
is.
killer.
It totally is.
Yeah. But where did
The
these
Joes and
robots
Cobras, they're
come
all
from?
being taken
Our friend
prisoner
Lakar obviously
by
went
Lakar.
heaven to do his dirty work.
And we learn, or at least Zartan surmises that Lakar survived the crash from the previous episode, and he's reprogrammed the bats to serve as his servants, and then now he's using the antimatter pod to grow
Yeah, pretty
everything,
soft
algae,
for a
Like
fruitcake.
Kelp and seaweed.
kelp,
and-
seaweed, everything
yeah.
that he needs to live.
He's now in session.
Cool.
He's also
I am
kooky.
Sheriff B.A. Lakar.
And he's sheriff,
former
apparently.
mess hall cook.
Former
he
mess hall
ruled-
cook. Yeah,
He rules the underworld with an iron fist here.
he really
The sole
does. He
survivor
really
And I-
does.
of Cobra.
We also we glossed over the fact that there's like a air pocket
Uh-huh.
inside the ship that's keeping him alive. That's like such a great one sentence like explanation for how he could survive underwater.
Yeah.
There's an air pocket. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's good. So he thinks he's the last surviving member of Cobra, right?
That's a key point.
Right. So when they use Zartan,
On your knees!
if they used any other Cobra member that wasn't like a mercenary,
Ah,
he
yes.
would have identified him, right?
Right.
So
Good
if
point.
they had been down there with Cobra eels or something like that, then he would have been like, "Oh, hey, you're here to welcome me. You rescue me," and they would have turned on the Joes immediately.
Oh
But
man,
at
that
this-
is a great observation because there's no Cobra logos on any of the dreadnoughts.
Exactly.
Look at you. It's like you've done this before.
Oh my God, whatever. It's like we've done 83 episodes of this. So he has a natural distrust of those guys because he doesn't, either he doesn't literally know them or they're not sigled as Cobra. So he's going to say, now he's upset because they left him to die. And
Guilty and sentence you
And he's
to
kooky.
life and hard labor.
He's out to lunch.
he's really crazy. His look also has I'm thinking of, you know who he looks like? He looks like a
that?
character that would be from Battle of the Planets.
Oh yeah, I could totally see
You know
that.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, he has that slight hint at an animation style on it. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like his eyes are big. Like, is it Pidge? Is that the little
Yeah, yeah.
one?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
It's
he's
not-
got
Yeah.
he's got a little bit of Pidge in him.
Ace of Pentor cameo.
Oh, little guy.
Always in such a hurry.
He's just telling Cobra Commander what to do.
We're just like we're a Destro screenshot away from having all the big four baddies, which is kind of fun.
That's amazing.
Anyway?
Oh, here we
Bon
go.
appetit. They call me that just because a few Cobra Stratovipers got ptomaine poisoning.
Bon appetit.
But these bats don't mind my cooking.
And he calls it. And he says ptomaine poisoning. So I looked up ptomaine poisoning,
Yeah.
and ptomaine poisoning specifically it's food poisoning, erroneously believed to be the result of ptomaine ingestion, but it's a term that's no longer in use. It's a mistaken and now obsolete term for food poisoning.
So they found some like old archaic word to slap on this whack
Well,
job to.
Well, we're now 30 years past this, right? So I wonder
True.
if 30 years ago,
It was a thing.
that's what they call it. Because it says a mistaken and now obsolete term for food poisoning. Ptomaines occur in decaying proteins, but the poisoning is caused by bacteria.
So ptomaine poisoning was running rampant in the 80s.
Yeah, and that's what
It was like excess bad hair and ptomaine poisoning.
Yeah, so they apparently must have thought that ptomaine caused the poisoning, but it was really bacteria. Ptomaines are not injurious to the carnivorous or omnivorous digestive systems, which are quite capable of reducing them to harmless substances. Decomposed foods are responsible for food poisoning, however, because they may harbor certain forms of poison-producing bacteria, not ptomaine. So I feel like we're blowing the lid off of B.A. Lacar's whole theory for calling himself Bon Appetit. I feel like when he gets out of the Flagg, he can confront all the people who teased him with Bon Appetit and said, I didn't cause that.
It also does lend a little credence to his sort of insanity, his little off-kilterness.
Mhm.
Like it's almost like a faux reason, and like plus the whole Cobra thing, right? Like he believes there's no Cobra. He believes this food poisoning thing. He's a layered character.
Oh, he's got a lot going on. Also, let's not, as long as we're on this topic, real quick, Zorana's about to get slaughtered by a firing squad. This is exciting. He's very angry, and these bats are about to fire, and Roadblock and Zartan are going to team up, so we would get some good cooperation going. let's not gloss over the fact that at the same time, there was another prominent BA on television
Bad attitude.
in Bad Attitude Baracus. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think like Roadblock is kind of the BA of the Joe Force.
Oh, he's totally the BA of Joe Force.
Also, Roadblock is maybe the most apt to team with a member of Cobra in a dire situation.
Sorry, Serena.
Because he's
Wasn't
also
working out the way
did
I
the
expected.
weird Cobra Commander thing.
Yeah. You know what else? He's also a chef.
Indeed, and quite a poet.
Yeah, and quite. Of course, he's quite a poet. I would have liked to have seen him and Bon Appetit Liqueur kind of team up on a recipe or something. I feel like that's a small missed opportunity on this episode. Like some kind of commentary.
They do a little bosom buddy at the end, so that's a little
that's
foreshadowing.
true.
A little
wait,
foreshadowing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The culinary connection.
You're totally right. And here we go. The Death March. Cold Slither.
In so many bats.
Oh, and here come your death charges.
Depth chargers.
So right as they're about to, Zarana and Roadblock are about to get killed, the depth charges hit, which Cobra launched out of their very toy accurate Cobra hydrofoils.
Which is one of the only vehicles I had.
Oh, that was the best toy. It was the hydrofoil is absolutely great. The depth charges explode and it loosens everything. So we're going to go to commercial real quick. Hey there, Joe and Joe listeners. I want to take a moment to get serious this week. We all love G.I. Joe. And what's G.I. Joe called but a real American hero? And in these last few weeks, America's been dealing with a crisis called Hurricane Harvey. So I'm asking you, my Joe on Joe listeners and friends and family, to reach into your pocket and donate what you can to the Red Cross as they help rescue people who were caught in the path of Hurricane Harvey. The easiest way to do this is to donate by text on your smartphone. All you do is text the word Red Cross, one word, no space, to 90999. That will give $10 to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. This will help people affected by these disasters. Charges will appear on your wireless bill or they'll be deducted from your prepaid balance, and all purchases must be authorized by your account holder. You must be 18 years of age or have parental permission to participate in this. Message and data rates may apply. But G.I. Joe is called a real American hero, and every week we watch and we marvel and we laugh at and we enjoy watching animated adventures of these heroes going about their day-to-day. But right now, there are real heroes on the ground, some of whom may be listening right now, and they need our help. The Red Cross will help get people back on their feet. They're going to provide emergency services, water, food, shelter. That's what they do. So if you want more information to donate on your own, go to redcross.org or just send that text, Red Cross, to 90999. That'll send $10 immediately to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. So this week, as we watch Real American Heroes, you have the opportunity to be a real American hero and donate to the Red Cross to help victims of Hurricane Harvey. Thanks for listening. Thanks for donating. And yo, Joe.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
The depth charges have loosened this shelf that the crashed underwater ships were sitting on. So basically, the Flagg and the Cobra ship are now going to sink even further, and everyone's going to die.
They're being dislodged due to the chaos of the depth chargers.
Dislodged is the actual English term that I couldn't put my brain into when I said loosened or loosed, because those aren't words. So I want to make sure I call that out. The word dislodged was
I got you.
not firing in my brain. So Adam, every we like to ask our guests on our Joe on Joe. We like to ask him, if you could be a member of the Joe team, what would you be? Well, Joe or Cobra? You could be Cobra. What would your specialty be, and then what would your code name be? And have you given any thought to this?
Yeah, at risk of sounding guilty, I was hoping I might be able to be one of each.
She's gone forever.
Go for it.
Your men don't
So
get a chance.
I got to be a Dreadnought,
Yep.
absolutely, because those are my guys. And I think I would be like a gypsy cowboy sort of looking Dreadnought, kind of like a loner grifter dude.
Okay.
Both my grandfathers have kind of interesting stories. My mother's side, my grandfather was a professional baseball player who played the Brave system before they moved to Atlanta, Boston Brave days. He's not so evil, but my other grandfather was a legit con man, grifter, snake oil salesman guy, and he pretty much bounced all over the country and was like wanted in states and the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, but in later years he reformed and ended up being a great guy, and I had about a half a year with him where I got to bond with him. That being said,
you should do you should do a comic book about him.
I know he was a cool cat, and
should.
and my dad is also a bit of a gypsy, so I like the idea of third generation like gypsy cowboy guy, and probably tattoos, cowboy boots, maybe some sideburns or a beard, definitely a dreadnought. And I think my name would be Hoss.
Hoss, Hoss.
Yeah, because I don't get much more big cowboy than Hoss.
I love it. That's
And then
fantastic.
If I had to be a good guy, I would. So you know how they had like the Special Mission Brazil set?
Yeah.
So I would want to be the leader of a team, a Special Mission Mexico team, and it would be called Team Lucha Strike, and it would be a team of luchador G.I. Joe characters, and I would be Lucha Listo, which roughly translates into like fight smart, fight ready, fight clever. So I would be Lucha Listo, would be the leader of Team Lucha Strike, which would be Special Mission Mexico. All luchadors, like 5 luchador G.I. Joe guys.
I think we have enough of a wrestling following that you're gonna have plenty of fellow Joe and Joe fans to join you on Team Lucha Strike.
It'd be like an underground Mexican wrestler, like undercover, like we would be going after like the low level in the dirt guys.
Sure.
And that we would operate.
You'd be
fully
fighting the cartels.
Be wrestling against all the bad guys in Mexico on the DL under masks of awesomeness.
That's amazing. I love it. That's fantastic.
What? A luchador G.I. Joe guy? Come on.
That's a great idea. Lucha Listo. I think that's a no-brainer. Because that luchador mask coming at you is going to strike fear.
So that's why I need a team. I need 5 luchadors.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with I'm going to be Hoss on the Dreadnoks and a leader of Team Lucha Strike, Lucha Listo.
I love everything that you just said. So while we were listening to the amazing, amazing new characters that Adam Miller just created, the Joes and everyone realized that they were going to die underwater. So they teamed up with Filecard to attach the antimatter pod to the rotors of the Cobra ship. And the rotors basically brought the ship to the surface.
Right, so 2 helicopter rotors.
2 helicopter rotors.
Lifted an aircraft carrier. From underwater while launched into
it. Hey, in their defense, I do believe the original Shield, like Steranko era helicarrier only had like 3 rotors, okay?
Just
fair enough. Fair enough.
I can't believe we did it by working with Zartan's bunch.
It's great. So now we've got the Flagg on the surface. Zartan and his siblings, they're squaring off. So now, like every alliance, it's time for the bad guys to, become bad guys, and everyone. The struggle's over. So now we have to turn on each other.
Heck no!
Double cross is on.
Yeah.
Left me to
So
drown.
Filecard is a man of his convictions. He feels Cobra abandoned him. And looks like he's got some of the ptomaine poisoning.
Yes.
What's the matter?
This was great because as soon as he doubled over, I think I said out loud, "Ooh, the bends!"
Uh-huh. And that's what it is. Everyone's got the bends. They came up way too quickly.
This thing where they apply very scientifically accurate real-world situations against this completely insane half-cocked science is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people would really get the bends in this situation, but there's no way that helicopter carrier is getting it's just not.
You're right. You're right. Well, it's like you needed the one thing to happen, and the other thing is a happy accident. Look at Filecard. See, Xandar never wins. Zarana has moments of awesome. Like she's used really well. Zartan obviously is a major player. Xandar never wins on this show.
A little bit of a stiff. He definitely has like the younger brother. He's probably the youngest.
He just got tripped. He just got tripped by a crazy old chef man and lost the device for Cobra. Like Xandar never wins.
Like he's never going to be the heir to the Dreadnought throne. Oh,
For saving the antimatter.
This is great. They're all suffering from the bends. Which the bends is was it nitrogen? Nitrogen poisoning.
When you come up too fast,
too much pressure, right?
Yeah.
And here's Hawk ready to sum up the show.
Thank me. Thank Bon Appetit here.
Here we go.
You got room in G.I. Joe for a half-crazy, fully reformed ex-Cobra mess cook?
We'll make room.
with the endorsement of Roadblock. I love Roadblock in
well,
this
wait.
episode with him.
Wait, Hawk was just in the pressure chamber. Hawk can't be in that pressure chamber.
Hey, Hawk can do whatever he wants.
This is great. Yeah, because of course Leatherneck and Wetsuit are fighting again, like the odd couple.
Right, as always.
I do. It makes sense though. They don't explicitly say it, but of course, Roadblock is going to be best friends with the chef.
G.I. Joe will return
And
after
we,
these
uh,
messages.
we get to end with the giggle, which is always a great 80s cartoon.
It's great. It's a great episode. It's really, 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 really wonderful episode.
It was like literally nonstop action the entire time.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, man. Yeah. So there you go, Adam. I don't even think I need to say how do you like it because I know how you like. You loved it.
You kidding me? This episode is straight gold. Like when I found out I got to do this episode, I was like fanboy bananas excited. This episode owns.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say. This is great. This is totally great. So, Adam, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Man, thanks for having me. Again, not to blow too much smoke on you, but I really appreciate what you do. And there's a little community of Joe fans out here that I know feel the same. And applaud you for sponsoring on.
Oh, that makes me feel really good. And thank you to that community. Thanks for keep spreading the word. I really appreciate it. And now you Joe. And Joeing is half the battle.